Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Madcapper and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome back to the channel. We are on the boots on the ground. We are running. A couple things I want to talk about. First off, if you may notice, slightly over there, I pulled a cold heart this morning. I was gonna actually save the Void Shard, and I thought, nah, you know what? I need a Hail Mary. And admittedly, a Hail Mary would probably be a broken epic. But you know what? Cold Heart's probably better because easier to build, more likely chance of me having rare books, maybe. But definitely because I have a backlog of epics as it is, that's actually huge for the account. Unfortunately, it's a little late. I was tasked with the Fire Knight challenge. I'm in third currently in the Fire Knight challenge. I can't get past 20. I don't have the right champions for it. I probably could sneak my way through if I had a nuker who was Spirit Affinity just to help out, because I could build Armager for the actual boss. Turn meter control, I have one ready to go, but it's just too late. Unfortunately, I think 19 is the furthest I'm gonna get, but I can actually farm 19. Ooh, am I gonna die there? Ooh, that was close. I can farm 19. I can farm it consistently. Every once in a while, comedy of errors, I get a fail, but it's pretty happy. I actually, because I'm so worried about wasting my energy, I actually sit there and I direct the battle, just because I don't want there to be any losses when you're doing double runs, right? And energy is so important in this game. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today? First, I want to talk about the changes that have been announced. I was going to do the video yesterday, just really wasn't feeling 100%. Still not feeling 100% today, but we're getting there. So there's some rebalance notes and the new area bonuses. Then I want to talk to you about a Reddit situation that a post that has to do with the new area bonuses and some things that were said that I take offense to on behalf of. I know you should never read Reddit, but I did, and so we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about some changes I'm going to make to the free-to-play in the third month here. I have to stop messing around. I'm not going to catch up, but I at least want to progress. Like, I really want to take some leaps forward, and there's some certain things I'm going to do that. Some mistakes I made, some poor choices I made, I think, and we'll talk about that. We'll reflect on that on the 2 months in. So first off, let's really jump through new area bonuses for the arena. We can actually pop out of this and we can go there. So for those of you who are in mid and later game, there are area bonuses. Live arena does have some issues, though. I frankly think it's probably until you get to the competitive area of it, it's not too bad. It is time consuming, and you have to be there when it's open, which is a bit of a pain. But they're going to add some more here. Now, Potion Keeps, thank God we don't need that anymore. But they are going to be adding Iron Twin, Sand Devil, Phantom Shogun, Faction Wars, Doom Tower, and Curse City. My suggestion on this is use this to pinpoint where you want to improve in the game. Me, I wanted Hydra Battles, and I wanted Fire Knight. So that's where I put my points on my main account. And, you know, I stopped playing live. I might play it again. I don't know. There's maybe just to help out Shogun a bit, get a little bit more consistent in that one. The Sand Devil is pretty much 100% now on 25, so it's just Shogun that I might need a little bit of help on because of reasons. So, yeah, I mean, whatever. I think having more options here for people who are like, oh, I don't need Demon Lord, I don't need Spider, I don't need Dragon's Lair. Maybe you don't even need Fire Knight Castle or whatever you need. You certainly would be nice. Now, I suspect that these are all going to be put in at grade 3, which is a bit of a miss. Maybe Doom Tower, Faction Wars will be grade 2. I don't suspect any of these will be grade 1. But Curse City being so new, the Necropolis and the Grove probably going to be a grade 3 because it's, in the grand scheme of things, new as well. Iron Twins, maybe it'll be a 2, but my hope is that they add more 1s, really, because that will show the most immediate impact and probably get people to play live. It doesn't ignore the fact that there's some stuff they need to fix in all arena cases, including live, but at least that, you know, it's not a bad change. It should have been in there from the beginning anyway. So the other thing is the changes to a couple champions, and the most important one for me is Little Miss Annie, because I have her on my main. She's one of the coolest looking. I was watching Hell Hades' video yesterday, which, by the way, Hell Hades, you kind of didn't read the whole kit changes, but that's okay. Hey, we all F up once in a while. you forgot that all the conditionals were taken away. So essentially what's going to happen is right now she ignores target's defense if she takes away max HP, if will repeat a second time, if all the ifs are going away, except maybe one of them isn't, but all these are going away. So as it reads now, like in the first one, it reads attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a heal reduction and a 60% decreased defense for 2 turns. Now that's one enemy 3 times up to a 75% chance. You're going to land both. So that's really cool because it's each hit. I'm actually surprised they left it like that, but that's cool. So now you have a decreased defense. Just makes you even better for Fire Knight because you're getting a debuff on there other than just the heal reduction. And at hard 10, it's taken turns. So having that heal reduction on a champion that can do plenty of damage and has multi-hit it's a good thing. So that's a good piece. Hollow Doll attacks one enemy 2 times. You see here, it places on this champion before if. Down here, it just does it. It just places, before attacking, just places an increased attack on the champion. Ignores 25% of the defense. Also plays a Perfect Veil on this champion. All that happens, fills the champion's turn meter by 30%. There is no if. All the ifs were taken out here. So this, on a 2-turn cooldown booked, just does this. It attacks an enemy 2 times, places an increased attack first, ignores 25% defense, puts a Perfect Veil, and fills turn meter. On a 2-turn, that's pretty bonkers. Whether it'll be enough in the meta of Arena, maybe not. But I think this change is going to be especially impactful for those who aren't in the end game. If you pull Little Miss Annie, or you're like a mid game and you have her in the vault because you don't know how to use her, she's now going to be absolutely bonkers in Arena. The further along you get, the more Stone Skin, the more just over the top tanky champions. Maybe it'll help less and less, but then arguably you'd have better and better gear to maybe keep her up with that level. She doesn't do anything extra, which is what I always talk about. Rotos gets extra turns, ignores unkillable, those sort of things. You know, those are where your single target nukers need to be. So I still think end game she's probably not going to be a big deal unless you can just get her to start hitting. But she's got near 1600 attack. Her multipliers are pretty bonkers, and all the extra turns. Remember, she's got a 3-hitter, a 2-hitter so far. She's got an increased attack. There's a lot of good on this champion. So I think a lot of you who are in that mid to late game probably want to dust her off if you have her, because she's gonna do some serious damage for you in PvE and PvP content. Her final A3 again attacks one enemy if get rid of the if, so it just ignores 25% defense. Here, I'll read it actually after the play date. Attacks one enemy, ignores 25% of the defense, destroys the target's max HP by 25% of the damage inflicted. Will repeat the attack. That's the only thing that stays. It does repeat the attack if the target has both higher defense and higher max HP than the champion. Now she's got low defense, she's got low max HP in comparison, so it shouldn't be too hard to get extra turns when you're up against Siffies and Duchesses, or against bosses like the Fire Knight. So also places a revive on death on this champion for 2 turns if this attack kills an enemy. That's a big deal because she's got this ability that right here, sorry, when she's revived, she attacks the enemy that killed this champion with the default skill and fills her turn meter by 25%, places shield buff equal to 50% of their max HP. So now she's making that passive mechanic happen on her own volition. So she's gonna put that on her A3. You're gonna use the A3. It's gonna put a revive on death for 2 turns, and then gets 2 hits. So she's gonna get 2 hits, ignore defense. She's maybe gonna kill the champion, but then she's there. She's just on her own, and then maybe the Baron comes along and kills her. Well, guess what? She's got the revive on death, so she's gonna revive, and then she's gonna automatically hit that 3-time A1, decreased defense, heal reduction on whoever killed her, who will probably be, unless it's like Taras or Narcisse, will probably be a pretty squishy champion. So she's gonna get a chance to get revenge, and I think that's a cool mechanic. I think the fact that it's self-aware now because she's putting the revive on death. Now the downside of it is you've got this on a 4-turn cooldown. It's a 2-turn, and you potentially have this on a 2-turn cooldown. So the revive on death won't be all the time. You'll probably open with this and then run to this. Actually, honestly, gosh, I gotta think it'd be the other way around, depending on who you're fighting. If you're fighting like single target attackers, you're probably gonna open with your A2 and not have that revive on death, just because you want to put the veil on to have her survive longer, and then you follow up with a revive on death, and then of course she'll be visible by then. And if in between getting back to this, because remember 2-turn cooldown, in the process of getting back to her A2, you might have to. She might die and then revive and take revenge. So I think overall, great kit. Did they change anything with the magical heart? 50%, 10% and 10%. So it's 5%, 5%. Now it's 10%, 10%. And it's heal reduction or decreased defense. So both of those A1s. Okay? So overall, really good changes. Is it going to be enough? We'll have to find out. I'm looking forward to it. I have a fully booked out Annie. She's my favorite looking champion. She looks like Nightmare Before Christmas. She's got a button for an eye, a sewed up mouth, a heart, a kind of a weird glowy heart. I love it. The creepy movements. She's cool. So the second one, Supreme Aethel. Hey, Supreme Aethel was very bad. Or very convoluted. Wasn't properly put together. But now I think she will be. First off, damage increased on her A1 and A2. So this is going to have increased damage. We don't know what that means, but it's going to have increased damage. Her A2 Cold Company, the big thing is she's going to put, before attacking, she has a 100% chance of placing a freeze for 1 turn. So instead of then, she's putting the freeze first, and then she ignores strength and ally protection on killable buffs on enemies under freeze. So unless that freeze is resisted, sorry, excuse me. She's gonna ignore all those things, which is nice. The only downfall here is there's a lot of immunity, a lot of Siffies, a lot of Duchesses, a lot of immunity gear, all combined. So this is still a bit of a problem, but that's okay because you've got the fact that on her A3, which is her self buff, which gives her the extra turn, this is gonna include an increased accuracy. So it's gonna make her a lot easier to build. It's still not going to be lights out. The increased damage will be the most interesting thing, but I see if they do the damage proportional to maybe Elhain's damage, then you're able to increase attack, increase crit rate, put a shield on yourself, put an increased accuracy. End game players will have accuracy around 200 naturally, so you can get that to 300 without sacrificing much. I do 300, for example. My Harima has around 350. And my Stultus around 350. Stultus because I also use them in PvE. But that allows me to land when I can. Well, now that 300, say, on her is going to be 450 because you're going to get that increased accuracy, which is going to allow you to land her A2 a lot better, and it's an extra turn. So I think it's a good deal. It just... How good a deal really comes down to how well she hits. She also will ignore 20% of the target's defense if the enemies are under a freeze, which basically negates the 20% buff. Doesn't quite because of math. You do 20% extra. It doesn't just subtract the 20%. It subtracts 20% of the new value. So it's a little bit, but it's pretty much ignoring the increased defense you get when you are under a freeze. So that's good. I think it's good. Hey, it's a good change. Whether or not it's an impactful change, we got to find out. Siegfried the Nephilim, already changing mythicals, so that should tell you. I don't know much about him, so I don't know what his problems are, but I do know they're increasing all of his damages in his main form, and then he's ignoring 50% on the A3. Ignores 50% of the target's defense. So he's got splash damage. He's going to ignore 50% defense, which is obscene. It's obscene. It's insane is what it is. Obscenely insane. Insanely obscene. I don't know, whatever. You put those in whatever order you want. It's a lot is what I'm trying to say. Again, with that damage increase, what his multipliers are increased to will determine whether or not he's good enough. In his alternate form, revives all dead allies with 50-50 and puts a block damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. Well, that's pretty crazy. So his alternate form, I think, got probably the most impactful. It doesn't sound like it, but he can revive with a 2-turn block damage. That's a lot in the alternate form. And his damage form, which is his base form, again, damage increase, ignoring defense on the A3. And we'll see. Don't care. Don't have him. I'm sure you guys who have him are whales, and probably it'll be nice for you, but you probably already have Marichka and Taurus, so fine. All right, other piece of news just out today. What's the embargo? I gotta make sure I have the right 4 p.m. UTC. Oh, that'll be perfect. I'll have this up and ready for it. We have a brand new champions. So let me read this. Hey folks, we got some news about the progress missions. We're adding a separate new branch of missions that will become available simultaneously with the missions that unlock Ramantu. Meaning that once you've completed the missions to get Arbiter, you will be able to go for Ramantu and start a new branch at the same time. There will be a total of 180 new progress missions divided into 3 groups of 60. The new missions will focus on the following features: Live Arena, Cursed City Hydra, Champion Awakening, Gear Ascension, and so on. And of course, as always, you'll be able to receive various rewards for completing each task. This is them trying to make Live Arena better, not by improving Live Arena, but by just adding new stuff. Whoopee. But there's a new champion, looks kind of cool. Skinwalker Legendary Void Defense-based champion. It's a horse, of course. Of course it's a horse. Let me, I actually didn't plan to open this, so that's my fault. Let's just open it up and we'll take a look at his kit. It's kind of creepy if I'm not gonna lie. Here, I'll make myself smaller for this. The thing is full on creepy. I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with what's on my screen right now. There he is. There he is. Okay. Marius the Gallant. He is a horse. Of course. Of course he's a horse. His A1 attacks all enemies, has a 35% chance of placing enfeebled debuff for 1 turn. You see there's 4 levels with 2 of them being an extra 15%. So they'll take it up to 50% for enfeeble. Interesting. Have we had a champion that has had enfeeble? I don't think so. Have we? I don't know. Anyway. Is A2 4-turn cool. Attacks all enemies 3 times. Each hit decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. And this can't be polymorphed, right? The decreased duration cannot be polymorphed. Only the strip or debuff. So that's good, because this is actually like a 3-turn strip without fear of polymorph. Smart on you. I see what you did there, Plarium. I see what you did. Okay, good. And that can be down to a 3-turn cooldown. And then Galloping Thunder places a 50% increase accuracy, increased defense, and all allies for 3 turns. Then places a stun debuff on the... Oh, no, we were right back into that. Then places a stun debuff on the enemy with the highest turn meter for 1 turn. Finally grants an extra turn. 4-turn cooldown. So, puts an increased accuracy, increased defense, all allies. This really looks like arena focus, right? Because we're talking about the duration. So they make the A2 so the A2 won't proc polymorph, but the A3 will just randomly proc polymorph, and most of the time it's a debuff that's not going to land, unless it's further into the fight, right? Because, well, I guess if he's using his A2 and then following up with the A3 and then getting, oh yeah, okay. Champion's immune to turn meter reduction and decreased speed debuffs whenever an enemy changes form or attempts to decrease this champion's turn meter, counterattacks using this champion's default skill, which then will place enfeeble. Well, that's a neat little thing. We don't, this is the first champ with enfeeble, right? Like Shogun has enfeeble, but there's none of our champions. This is the first champion to put enfeeble, and it's on an A1. Is that right? Are we good there? This will be interesting because he's a mythic buster, right? Because he does the counterattack anytime someone changes forms or attempts. So he's also a turn meter whooper. I'm good against Warlord because that A1 potentially could be pretty strong. Enfeebling top tier champions and being able to counterattack and all that stuff. I like that. This might be a good champion. Might be a fun champion. I don't know. It'd be tough. Again, here's the thing. Kit looks pretty good. Looks like he's more of a support style defense. I don't think you're going to see a lot of damage on this. That kit has way too much utility to be, so I assume that the multipliers are going to be meh at best. It was weird that they would call it a defense-based champion, but that's fine. I'd rather be an HP champion, to be honest with you, because you see all the stuff that ignores defense nowadays. The only way to get around that is just make more HP, because the only thing that decreases HP is damage. So, or I guess technically enemy max HP, but whatever. So, yeah, I mean, why not? I'm sure I'll hate the missions. I'm sure the missions will focus on crap that I don't want to do. And they're doing that because they made these things and they're trying to get us to do them. I get it all. I get, you know, you can complain about it, but functionally it makes sense for them to do that. So there you go. So that is the news. Now let's talk about, oh, this is going to be a long video. Let's talk about what was happening in Reddit. I'm not going to bring up the Reddit post. I'm just going to give you the cliff notes, the TLDR. OP posts an image, a snapshot of someone else's post on Nub Kek's video. I think it was about the changes. And to make the paragraphs of text, the wall of text short, basically the guy was calling Nub Keks out, saying he's out of touch with the common player. Because he must have thought that the adding the arena bonuses was a good thing. So they're all mad. They're mad about it. They said, look, he doesn't know playing this game is impossible as a free-to-play player, blah, blah, blah. And then the OP from the actual Reddit was like, dude, this guy's entitled, which I agree with. The whole post was entitlement. But then he was a Plarium apologist. I call Plarium apologists those who, no matter what Plarium does, seem to be like, look, Plarium's great. They do so much good stuff. Why are you bitching? And I don't think that's necessarily the right answer either. I think that's swinging too far in the other direction. It feels a lot like American politics, where you've got Sleepy Joe and Crazy Donald, and it's just like, can I get a third option that's not RFK, please? Can we? Anyway, I don't want to talk politics. Don't put politics. I'll get demonetized or something. I'll get suppressed, and I need all the views I can get on my video. You know what I'm saying? So here's my problem. Yeah, this entitlement of, oh, we can't do anything, we're not able to do anything, is a complete farce. It's a fallacy. It's created by the player who doesn't take the time to learn the semantics of the game. Proof in the pudding. I do it all the time, but I do it knowingly. I know that what I'm doing short term is going to hurt me in some way, form, or fashion. For example, I opened a Void Shard today. I should have saved that. I should be saving all my different things for very specific outcomes, and I didn't. And the result is I got a cold heart. This time it happens. Good. But I can tell you, normally that doesn't happen. So you get so many more resources in this game. How entitled do you have to be? 4 years ago, we didn't get any of this. All these extra resources that are in this game, I'm on day 48 or something like that. Now, I'm hard stuck here, but even here, I have an answer. I've just chosen to focus other. But look at all the stuff you get every month. Most of the good top players that are doing the free-to-play challenge, right, which is free-to-play, are getting up in this area. I don't know if anyone's finished one. Maybe someone did. But like they're crushing it up this. That's all free resources, right? Centranos, even though I have my issues with some of the implementation of Centranos, the reality is even my weak ass look at these free resources I got, right? I can't beat the bosses, but that's I blame Hell Hades for that. I don't know, why not pick someone? Which you can argue with me if you actually do a collab with me, and then you can tell me how wrong I am. I know I'm probably wrong, but if I'm not being held to account. Anyway, so I agree. The entitlement is crazy. The amount of resources we get in these sort of things here, all this stuff here, the forge is just a constant source of revenue for silver, for everything. Though I do think silver is still an issue in this game. It's less of an issue than it was. Tournaments, events, there's more going on. There used to be a special occasion. Oh my God, there's a 2 times event this year. Like, it's been 3 months. Oh my God, there's a tournament. It's been 3 months. That's the way it used to be when you first started the game. Now there's so much out there for resources. And that's part of the reason, in my opinion, why they upped the ante in these things. This used to be $2.90, I think. That's a bad example. Champion Chase is a bad example too. They're all bad examples. Champion Training, that'll be a good example. Look, we got 50K. They added these bronze chests, which is blah, right? The 10,000 is higher. The rewards that you get in the middle. First of all, I don't see any rewards here that are really good for free to play, but they've upped the ante, right? Like, it's 3,100 points now to get one of the fragments type of thing. They've reduced the amount of fragments in there, but they've also increased the resources, and I think they were trying to make a balance. Hey, we're giving you more energy every day. We're giving you more resources. We're giving you more shards. We upped the clan boss drop rates at every level. We did all of this, but we still want to keep that balance of difficulty. Now, do I think they did it right? No, but that's what they're doing. I get that. So I do think there's an entitlement from the one side. From the other side, and secondly, all the content creators are out of touch. Go fuck yourself. You're out of touch. Like, how many times do we have to do free-to-play challenges where I'm awful? I'm at level 53. I'm one of the worst ones here, and I'm still in the top 15. And you look at what Hell Hades and Mullet Reaver and all these guys can do with the champions they get, and the proof is in the pudding. It's not them, it's you. You're out of touch. You don't know exactly what is able and what can't be done in a game. That's simple. However, the Plarium apologist has to slow his roll too, because let me tell you, Plarium does not do things right. And it's not my opinion, my entitled opinion. It's not because I'm whiny and I'm just the most toxic community in the world and all these other things that he said in his post. It's because every other game I've played, most specifically the current other game I'm playing, Watcher of Realms, a fragment event, I usually get 35 extra fragments. I can easily finish it as a spender in that game. Now, I'm not a high spender, but I do have to say I'm a spender because I do get diamonds as part of the content creator program, and I spend those as well as some of my own money, especially off the start, to give me a good kickstart. But look, the fact that you have to be on for hours, I can finish in the time we've done this video. I can finish my dailies in Watcher, unless I'm doing something very specific weekly, like Void Rift, and even then, it takes an hour a week. The amount of time you have to spend to do everything in this game, the time spent for Curse, you got your Curse City, you got Doom Tower, you got your clan boss, and you got weekly Hydra, you got arena, you got to do 10 battles a day on both things, then maybe live arena, then you got to do your faction wars, then you got to spend out your energy, which is still capped at 130 in spite of all they've added. Yeah, that to me, that's a problem. Now, can you do it? Can you be resource savvy and do it? Yes. Probably not back to back. I'd be curious to see if people can do back to back until they're hitting Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare, so they get that extra resource. I don't think you could do a back to back summons or a back to back fragment fusion, that sort of thing. The resource drain, I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe if you've saved up enough, hoarded enough in the times you skipped, that you could do it. But like, say you're me, and I say, okay, from today I'm going to save everything. Maybe the next fusion I can do, but then the one after, to say I can do it, that would be pretty tough. So, and the point, I guess, is that there's so much time sink that on top of it, to make everything so every second mandatory, that's what Plarium does wrong. Also, their tournaments are very unimaginative. Their special events are very unimaginative. We had a special boss for Valentine's Day, a special skin. They added 2 skins to the game. They added 2 banners for summonings. Just like I they had a bunch of packs you could buy, but they also added a little storyline with new, never seen before. Now, again, tower defense, I think, is inherently easier to make new content for, because all you have to do is change the path of the monsters. That's pretty, it's pretty easy and simple, and yet it's pretty it does change things up. They also have those boss modes where you just try to do as much damage against a boss. They bring a new one out just for that. Like, there's so many things that you can do, and Plarium doesn't do it. And I think that's where the original poster from Reddit was wrong, where he's saying, look, Plarium does so much good. They do some good, but then they also don't. They also gate things severely, and I think when you compare it to other games in the genre, there are some other games that do gate pretty severely. Diablo is one that comes to mind. Diablo Immortal was absolutely obscene, pay gated, but it just feels like you're time gated and pay gated, and even then sometimes you're hooped in Raid Shadow Legends. Now, I think most importantly, I think a lot of us as content creators complain because we enjoy the game. We still enjoy the core root of the game and the collection and all that. And look no further than Jay Gigs. He complains more than everyone. That's like, it's his thing now. It's what he did it in comedy style. He did it in free form. He did it in free to play form. And he does rant videos. Like, he's got all of it. He's hit the cycle. But he still plays the game because he still enjoys the game. And that's what's frustrating, is we see this game, we see the potential, we love playing it because we are playing it, but then we run into these things. It's like, gosh, if only, like, maybe Guardian of Realms is too generous with their fragment events and that sort of thing. Maybe it's too easy. Okay, they can, but that doesn't mean that Raid just can't do it. Raid can find that happy medium, I think, and that's what I would love to see. It's just a little happy medium. Like, just find that place where it's 120 fragments. So in a fragment event, I can skip 2 events, right? That would be great. Or rather than making the summons, which is obviously the stopgap for 99%, is the summons, because they pay gate that second summons, especially on the champion chase. It depends on whether you've saved up fragments and stuff, champions to pull during that time, and how lucky you get, right? Champion chase is compared to the summon rush. The summon rush, I think that second fragment set is a little bit pay gated, and you can't typically win your tournament free to play. You got to be really lucky, especially once you hit level 51 and you get out of those the kid glove brackets, I call them. But wouldn't it be nice if they gave something else, like you got a skin, a cosmetic with a slight boost? I'm talking 5% extra attack, but people would go for that, right? So rather than making that fragment pay gated, which people want to do so people summon, you offer something else on that higher summon tier that is very desirable for pay players. A free to play player can look at that and go, for 5%, nah, it's not worth it. I got my fragments, I'm walking away. And for the one who wants to spend and is going to spend, that's the value there, is getting that skin or something, or just something. I'm just thinking maybe you make the, and I think they do with Summon Rush, they do pretty good. You get legendary tomes. Those are the holy grail of gifts. So, yeah, I just think stuff like that to make it a little bit easier. Maybe buffer about 20 fragments so that we don't have to do every single event, and we can have a life outside of Raid Shadow Legends. I know that's a swear word in Plarium terms, but I think there's a happy medium, and I think there's a lot of nuance in that. And I don't think the person who says Nubkek is out of touch, and all content creators for that matter, I don't think he's right. I think he's out to lunch. But I think the guy who's like, oh, Plarium's doing all well, is also out to lunch. And I think we can get to that happy middle. All right, let's keep this video going because it's going on forever. I did want to talk about one last thing, and this is a major thing that I did wrong, and I'm not doing it yet, but I'm gonna really focus on. I have a lot of epic champions that I'm like, ooh, I got to keep this champion. I can use this champion. I can use this. Look at all I have Ugo, who's really good. I have Ultimate Gallic. I have Spider. I have Ambassador. I have Fodbor. It's not worth it. I got to use more of them for food. I was saving them all. The reality is I got 30 days left of this challenge. These two especially, even these 3. If I'm not going to immediately find use for these champions, they need to be gone. And I'll tell you, a lot of these champions, if I was playing out, I would keep them all. but I think I need to use more of them as food. I think that's part of what's put me behind, is that I've tried to keep all these champions as viable options, and the reality is I'm never going to get to use them. Even these two, I'm keeping them around, but I'll probably have to feed them too. There's no point to it because I've only got 3 months. And how many epics? Like, I don't have books for the epics I need. Frenzy has 1 book in her. Trumbor, I got really unlucky, or lucky depending, because that buff chance is important. But I still need what, 4 more books, right? I still need 4 epic books somewhere. Then I need to get these books. It would be important to me. But maybe I skip her because I have to move on. I didn't put any books in Allure. I didn't put any books in Gala Longbraids. Broadmod does need books. Those cooldowns are critically important, right? If I want to use Woozgar, he's got incredible cooldown books. And so at what point, plus, High Katoon, at what point, even the ones I like Nogoro, Kalia, probably usable. I've been using Dark Aethel, Gizcard, Hosatsu, Balthus, Ambassador, all these 4-star chickens. When am I going to use them? When am I going to get a chance to use them? That is the question. And I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get a chance to use them now. They're going to help me get Cold Heart to 6-star. And I have 30 days to core down my team to what's going to help me get as far as I can in every dungeon. And Cold Heart's that answer. Ambassador Lethalin is not. Ambassador Lethalin is a very niche champion that can be used in Hydra that I'll never use. Spider, we'll never use Spider. All these champions in a normal world I'd keep for Faction Wars. I have 30 days. That's not enough time to build out these champions. Marked, amazing rare. I think a very underrated rare. Puts block debuffs, has a decreased accuracy, has a baby decreased defense. She gone. She gone, girl. She gone. I can't do it. Fodbor, really good for Faction Wars and Dwarves because of the decreased defense. Never going to get books. You're never going to see the light of day. So guess what? He gone. Hotatsu, I'm not ready to get rid of him just yet, but it might happen soon. Gizcard, great champion. When am I ever going to be able to develop him as well? When would I ever want to? Dark Aethel is good for Undead Horde Faction Wars, even though not very good for normal runs for me. When am I going to get a chance? Same with Kalia. Nogoro I might keep around just because you got to keep some of them. I think Balthus is going to help me with certain content, which is the only reason why he's going to be kept around, but no books, right? Like I have to make those decisions, and some of these champions are going to get fed in order to progress. And Cold Heart for me, I think will be a major progression point in dungeons if I can keep her alive for both Dragon and for Fire Knight, especially for Fire Knight. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. So just thought I'd mention, that's the pivot. I wish I would have done it sooner. I think I'd be a lot further ahead in this game. I might also, if I'm going to pick one of these 40s to take to 50, I got a few of them. Maybe now's the time. Maybe we pull Gallic out of the vault and we start progressing him. I did put books into him, actually. He does have the cooldown book. So maybe we start looking at Spider, and I still don't have a competent HP burn, so maybe we got to go with this guy. Maybe this is what we got to do. But I got to make that move, and to do that, I can't also do all these other epics. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. We're at 40 minutes now. I'm sure most people aren't watching this, but if those of you who did, I thank you. For those who didn't, I mean, you won't hear this because you didn't stay, but, I'm just trying. All right. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Please be kind, be safe, and we'll see you in the next video.